Welcome to our self-paced sound slide training program on the IBM Selectric Typewriter. This is tape 1, side 1 of the segment number 10-1A of this learning program. Please use slide number 1 to focus your projector. This program has been prepared with a specific objective of enabling the business machine technician to study the IBM Selectric Typewriter without the aid of outside help. This is only possible if the instructions given in this program are followed exactly. Failure to heed this may force you to seek skilled help after all. It is absolutely necessary that you know how to operate the IBM Selectric Typewriter. No attempt is being made here to teach you how to use the machine. This portion of the program is entitled Positive Power in the Selectric Typewriter. During the presentation, we will cover theory of operation, exploratory disassembly, assembly, and adjustments. The successful conclusion of this program hinges on your ability to follow instructions and on the correct answering of test questions dealing with the covered material and with troubleshooting. This program also assumes that the student has an understanding of basic mechanics for office machine technicians. You can familiarize yourself with the basic mechanics material through a training package similar to this one, entitled Fundamentals of Mechanics. This program is the first of a series of programs which presents the IBM Selectric Typewriter in a manner or sequence which you can effectively use for the routine checking or inspecting of the Selectric Typewriter. This means that you will be able to use the same sequence of steps when after the course you work on the machine. Slide number 2. For this program, you will need at least a Selectric 1 typewriter. The features and changes incorporated in the Selectric 2 machine are covered in the 5th segment of this series of training programs. Platen size and pitch of the machine, which you intend to use, are immaterial. You may use an 11-inch, a 13-inch, or a 15-inch platen machine for the program. We will use primarily the Selectric 1 with a 13-inch platen for our demonstrations. In order not to allow for any confusion during our explanations, let us agree that in this picture we are pointing at the front of the machine. The portion of the machine in which the platen is located will be called the rear of the machine. The part of the machine which is in contact with the table we will call the bottom of the machine. No matter what the position of the typewriter may be, whether it stands on its back or on its feet, we will adhere to the definitions given here, and thus you should be able to tell what front, back, top, bottom, and left and right mean when we use these terms during the program. You are expected to stop your tape player on your own whenever there is a reason for you to do it. You might, for instance, decide to stop it because you want to write something down, and we highly recommend this practice since it helps us remember things. Because you want more time to better inspect some mechanism on your machine, or simply because you need the time to carry out the given instructions. The decision as to when to stop your tape player is left up to you, the listener. We hope that you will enjoy this program. Slide number 3. We will now step you through the cover removal procedure and examine each step more or less carefully. You will be expected to reinstall the covers without any further explanations from this program. Thus, be sure to examine each step as you go. To enable us to remove the covers of the machine, we first have to remove the platen. Resting against the platen, there is the paper bail, which you should pull towards the front, away from the platen. Slide number 4. On both sides of the machine, locate these platen hold-down latches. Slide number 5. Using both thumbs simultaneously, press down on the mentioned platen hold-down latches. While thumb pressure is being applied to the latch, the other fingers are lifting the platen by the platen knob. Slide number 6. Whenever you store the platen, you must make very sure that it is in some position out of which it cannot roll by itself. Should the platen ever fall from the bench, a broken knob as well as a bent shaft is almost certain to be the result. This can easily be avoided by a precaution such as placing the platen into a tray, as shown here. Slide number 7. Just inside the center section of the machine case, on both sides of the center section, you find these latches. On recent machines, these latches are very short, and you need a screwdriver in order to get at them. Pull them towards the front of the machine. This will unlatch the center section from the bottom cover. If your machine is a very old machine, it may not have this kind of latch at all. If yours should be one of these machines, wait until slide number 21 when we will discuss the old style covers. Let us first continue with our examination of the covers which have latches like these. Slide number 8. Before we can remove the now released center section from the machine, it is necessary to rotate the carrier position indicator or pointer upwards. If you're using a Selectric 2, you may simply pull this pointer out of its socket. But if you do, be sure to store it adequately, since it is easily lost because of the fact that it is transparent and small. You can also rotate up both of the margin set levers. If they do not stay or detent in the upward position, consider this okay. Later, when you reinstall the covers, you just have to be a bit more careful with them and lift them out of the way. Slide number 9. It should now be possible for you to remove the center section as shown. Slide number 10. Now let us take a few minutes in order to examine some details about the covers. Notice this stud on the bottom section. On the just removed center section, you will find a matching hole for each of these studs. Through these holes and studs, the center section and the bottom cover fit and stay together when the typewriter is being used. Slide number 11. When you pull the center section latches towards the front of the machine, this is one of the points on the bottom cover from which they disengaged. Also, take a quick look at the latch on the center section so as to understand how the covers are locked together. You may even consider practicing the reinstallation of the covers a few times before we continue. Be sure not to damage the margin set levers nor the carrier position indicator. Slide number 12. After you are done, lock down the top cover or lid and be sure to store the cover away from your immediate working area in order to prevent it from inadvertently being scratched or otherwise damaged. Slide number 13. Since we are now ready to lift the machine out of its case, let us remove the paper deflector, popularly known as the paper pan. If your machine is an older machine, the feed rolls will come out very easily simply by lifting one or both ends out of the feed roll supporting arms. If this is your case, remove also the feed rolls. Slide number 14. On later machines, the feed rolls no longer come out that easily, and it would be perfectly all right for you to leave them in the machine for the time being. However, if you must take them out, you can simply pry one of the arms a bit and then get them out. Be very careful, however, not to force, in order not to break off, the small ends of the feed roll shafts while doing this. Slide number 15. Once you remove the feed rolls on the new style machine and you wish to move the carrier while working on the machine, you should use rubber bands or some tape in order to prevent the feed roll support arms from interfering with the movement of the carrier. Slide number 16. Now turn to the rear of the machine and remove the plastic vent grill from the bottom of the machine by lifting it out of the guide slots. It is your option to leave it dangling on the cord or to remove it completely. Slide number 17. Next, turn to the front left bottom of the machine, locate this lock-down lever, and then pull it towards the front of the machine. This will free the bottom cover from the frame of the machine so as to enable us to separate the two. But before you lift the machine up, please go through the next two slides. Slide number 18. In order not to strain a number of relatively fragile parts built around the machine, we first position our left hand under the front left frame of the keyboard, as shown here. Slide number 19. Then place your right hand under the A-frame, as shown. With this, you can now lift the machine out of the bottom cover. If your machine is somewhat older, you might find that it does not have this A-frame. It will have various shafts running from left to right instead. It is okay for you to lift the machine out of the bottom frame only after you have made sure that the shafts by which you want to lift it are properly secured. But even then, be very careful because the shafts can come off in the process. Once the machine is completely out of the case, however, we should lift it by holding it by its power frame, which is a solid cast frame visible below the right hand. At this point, go ahead with the lifting of your typewriter out of the case. Slide number 20. If you tilt the machine on its back, you will be able to examine the slotted lever which is used to hold together the bottom cover and the machine frame. The slot, visible through the hole, indicated by the pencil, fits around a grooved stud on the bottom cover or case. Locate it too. Slide number 21. As mentioned, on earlier machines you might find a different kind of cover latch. You will find that the bottom cover is simply pulled off the rest of the machine. After you pull the bottom away from the rest of the typewriter, you can see that the bottom cover is held in place by spring clamps, such as this one. These clamps simply hold on to studs located on the center section of the covers. Slide number 22. On this earlier style of covers, the typewriter is literally suspended on rubber studs, which are mounted on the center section. The objective of this feature is to reduce the noise which is produced by the typewriter when it is in use. By loosening the indicated screw, we find that we can easily unlatch the center section from the typewriter frame. It is not necessary to remove the screw completely. Just loosening it so that the latch can be rotated will suffice. Slide number 23. Be sure to check whether your machine comes with these service feet under the power frame. If not, you can order the feet from IBM Corporation by the number 1174008. You will need 4 of them. Install them as shown here, under the power frame of the machine. These feet will allow you to slide the machine over a smooth surface, such as Formica, without scratching or otherwise damaging the surface. Slide number 24. While you're at it, be sure to order these booklets if you do not already have them. You are expected to use these throughout the training program and beyond while working in the field. You will find detailed and easy to understand instructions for parts ordering in the beginning of each of these booklets, so that it becomes superfluous for us to discuss their usage here. Slide number 25. Our first subject will be the positive power section of the machine. It consists of the motor, belt, gears, and clutches used in the Selectric typewriter. The study of this positive power section of the Selectric typewriter is equivalent to studying the power roll drive and cams on the conventional type bar machines. For troubleshooting purposes, it is of utmost importance that we be able to divide the machine into sections, and that we be able also to mentally and practically keep these sections separated while working on the machine. In fact, if we are able to do this intelligently, we can at all times substantially narrow down the overall area or machine section in which we search for a given problem. Slide number 26. The second training program will concern itself with the deployment of the force stored in the mainspring. It involves mechanisms such as the escapement for printing operations, the escapement for the spacebar operation, and the tabulation. At the end of this segment, we will also study the backspace, the express backspace, and the carrier return mechanisms, because these mechanisms are used in order to restore the mainspring tension. In other words, these mechanisms will replenish our source of negative power. Slide number 27. The third segment of our study is the input section. The most important parts of the input section comprise the keyboard, the interposers, and the selector latches. Aside from these major parts, we find that the input section only contains a few locks and interlocks. Whenever we wish to perform any function on the IBM Selectric typewriter, we start out with 2 distinct steps. 1. The selection or the choosing of selector latches, which are connected to the mechanisms representing the various functions of the typewriter. And 2. The selection of a power source to operate the selected latches or mechanisms. The name Selectric is a very appropriate designation for this typewriter, since it first selects latches and then drives or operates them electrically. All of what concerns selection is covered in this input section. Slide number 28. Built around the source of positive and the source of negative power, we find the output section of the machine. It represents the 4th step in our study of the IBM Selectric typewriter. Under output, we will describe the indexing, tilt, shift and rotate, and printing mechanisms. Slide number 29. Segment number 5 is the final part of our study. In it, we will cover the ribbon mechanisms and the correcting tape mechanism. The special features, such as the dual pitch features of the Selectric 2, are also covered in this segment. Slide number 30. In order to perform the ensuing steps of exploratory disassembly, you need a standard office machine repair toolkit plus a few tools specially designed for the IBM Selectric typewriters. Some of these, such as the hand cycle wheel and the hooverometer on the right, you will already need in this segment of our Selectric training program. Slide number 31. An IBM spring hook and a set of Bristol wrenches are also essential. Be sure to obtain these items before continuing. Other special tools will be introduced as they are needed. Slide number 32. Now let us install the cycle wheel by turning it top towards the front of the machine. It is most important that the wheel be rotated only top towards the front of the machine. Slide number 33. It is very easy to damage the input section or the keyboard by turning the hand cycle wheel in the wrong direction. Turn the cycle wheel only in the indicated direction at all times. Slide number 34. If you ever want to remove the hand cycle wheel, first turn it into a position such that you can, with your left hand, hold the torque limiter to prevent it from turning top to the rear. Only then should you apply the torque needed to unscrew the hand cycle wheel by turning it top to the rear. Slide number 35. Now move the left margin stop all the way to the extreme left position by first pressing in on the lever and then sliding the margin stop to the left end of the margin rack. Repeat the procedure in order to move the right margin stop all the way to its extreme right position. Slide number 36. Now depress the tabulation key and then turn the hand cycle knob or wheel top to the front. The carrier should move towards the right as a result of it. If the carrier should stop before reaching the right margin, first release the tabulation key and then depress it again while continuing to turn the hand cycle wheel. Repeat this process until the carrier reaches the extreme right position. At this point, please reverse the position of your sound cassette so as to continue the program by playing cassette 1, side 2.